Let's start. Fine. So, a very quick recap of the yesterday, and then we'll move to today's session or the theme. Fine. See, when we talk about essay, very quickly, always you have to do some pre-test exercise, you may call it, or brainstorming session, you may call it, which you have to do frequently, regular, just sparing 15-20 minutes time, nothing more than that. And then you will keep on writing on regular basis. That is the best I did take out of it for this year's mains examination. So yesterday we talked about two components in essay, and one is content, another is crafting. Why we are designing like this? Because it will help you to understand where you are good, where you need to work, what is the direction of your whole effort, and something like that. Fine. So content is all about meaning of the topic. Then to explain the meaning of the topic, you have dimensions. Dimensions is all about the ideas around which you want to build your essays, and then critical thinking. And here it is also about three things. Crafting. Crafting is all about, number one, ordering. Integration, flow, cohesiveness, etc. And signpost means direction. So this is broader structure around the two components which we need to work upon. Think, just think. Now let's come to the another thing, and that is called structure. Structure. So we all know a structure simply means introduction, body, conclusion. But this is something where everything lies. This makes your essay a complete or relevant essay. Fine. So number one, when we call it introduction, see about introduction, maximum question students ask that how to start, from where to start. Do we need to write quote? Do we need to write, you can say, anecdote or something like that? Fine. So there are so many questions around in the mind of the students. That's what keeps on going. But the question is here that why we need to think in a fixed framework? Why we are not able to think in the line which makes you more expressive, effective, or something like that? Fine. So introduction is not about you, mind it. Introduction is not about you. What does mean by it? When I am saying introduction is not about you, it simply means introduction is all about the topic. I'm coming to it. Fine. It's about topic. Then comes the body part. Body part is all about analysis, explanation, etc. And conclusion is your final is your final comment. Fine, final comment. Now, to try to understand it like this. Fine. So, when we say introduction is basically about one and only one thing, and that is guess what? Guess what? Guess what simply means you guess, you confirm what is this topic is all about. Fine. What is this topic? Any topic comes to you. The first thing first, when we are talking about the structure, introduction simply means that whether you agree, disagree, that will come later. First thing first is what is this topic is all about. When you capture everything with this purpose, that makes your introduction. Fine. So, introduction is all about guess what. Body is all about. So once you guess something that this is the topic is all about, then body is all about prove it. Body is all about prove it. You have made certain comment on the topic in the introduction that this is what about the topic is. So body simply ask, prove it. Simply prove it. तुम प्रूव करो कि तुमने जो इंट्रोडक्शन में कहा है वो सही है, गलत है, etc. And conclusion is all about one and only one thing. That is, are you sure? Reconfirm. Reconfirm. Fine. So quick. Number one, introduction is all about guess what the topic is all about. Body is all about prove it. Conclusion is all about are you sure? In the sense, reconfirm. Reconfirm it. Reconfirm in the sense that you have to finally take a stand. Because here it's not about taking a stand. Body is all about proving, exploring, analyzing, questioning, answering, etc. Whether you agree or disagree, doesn't matter. You are simply exploring the various ideas and dimensions. Your agree, disagree, the final comment, what you say, are you sure? Reconfirm. Reconfirm is the sense, this is what I want to say. This is what I want to say. So look at in terms of the structure. I'm coming with certain examples to explain it. Fine. मैं एक example के साथ बात करूंगा. और there are so many students online, तो हम लोग उससे बात करते हैं. आपको जो क्वेश्चन में पूछना होगा पूछेंगे, हम आंसर करेंगे. कल मैंने अपना फोन नंबर दे दिया था, बात भी करेंगे उस पे. But here simply we'll discuss about all these things today. So guess what? Prove it. Are you confirm? इसको इस तरह से समझने की कोशिश करो. Suppose if I give you my lunch box. वैसे आज मुझे मिली नहीं है फाइन घर से, लेकिन सपोज करो मैंने लंच बॉक्स दिया एंड आई आस्क यू, आपका नाम गौतम. गौतम, मैंने आपसे पूछा हाउ इट इज, कैसा है टेस्ट. सो व्हाट यू विल से? यू विल से सर लेट मी ओपन इट. खोल तो नहीं डब्बा, उसके बाद ही तो बताएंगे कैसा है. सो व्हाट यू डू इन द टॉप इंट्रोडक्शन, यू ओपन द टॉपिक. Again, I am saying you here, it's not about agreement, disagreement, etc. You simply unfold it. आप टॉपिक को unfold करते हैं और कुछ भी नहीं करते. You simply unfold it. आपने unfold किया उसको और एक एग्जामिनर को बताया कि that how do you see this topic. Unfold करके बताया how do you see this topic. Fine. So when I say this is where you face little bit of problem in philosophical essay. Philosophical essay में जो आप problem face करते हैं वो यही है. वो basically आप इतना ही problem face करते हैं. मतलब कि हम टॉपिक देख कैसे रहे, तो आप इंटरप्रेट करने में बहुत एक्यूरेसी नहीं होती है. कभी कभी यू आर नॉट वेरी श्योर. देखा, हमने पूछा ना गेस व्हाट, सो यू आर नॉट वेरी श्योर एंड दैट्स व्हाई यू फील लिटिल बिट ऑफ यू कैन से discomfort in philosophical or open-ended question, nothing else. You have enough content. और देखना 2 से 3 सेशन के बाद लगेगा कि नहीं, I can handle philosophical topic very comfortably, very comfortably. So the point which I'm trying to say is, please try to understand it, that this is how you need to understand the various requirement of the different component of the structure. जब उस requirement को हम समझते हैं, then it becomes quite easier for us to deal with any topic, क्योंकि हमको पता है इसका मतलब क्या है, इंट्रोडक्शन का मतलब क्या है. So how do you see the topic? How do you see the topic means meaning? Fine. Now meaning, when we say meaning, meaning can be conveyed in 4 ways. 4 तरीके से meaning को easily convey किया जा सकता है. So introduction does not mean जैसे कि anecdote से start करें, quote से start. No, there are several ways to do it. We'll do this today. हम लोग इसको देखते हैं अभी. We'll do it. Fine. What does mean by it? जैसे आप देखेंगे जब भी हम एक template बनाने की कोशिश करते हैं, whenever we try to create a template for our preparation, then we try to accommodate and fit in that template. We are not very sure that template is good, right, wrong, etc. वो template ठीक है, नहीं है, कैसा है, मुझे नहीं पता, हमको नहीं पता, लेकिन हम उसमें fit होने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं. Because some coaching institute said, some topper said, some influencer said, तो I'm not very sure. This is how a student think. No, not at all. मैंने कल भी कहा था जी कितनी कॉपियां है देखो जाके, सब अलग अलग लिखते हैं, and everyone is getting good marks. 160 हार 165 आ तो रहे हैं. So introduction, when we say introduction, there are 4 ways to express the meaning. So number 1 is quote. Fine. Number 1 is quote. Number 1 is quote. Now, about the quote, many students say, sir, it's very difficult. मेरे पास वो quote याद करने की क्षमता नहीं है, or I am not feeling comfortable to remember the quote. I always say one and only one thing. If you know, good. If you don't know, very good. I repeat my sentence. When you talk about the quote and all, etc., कि मुझे याद नहीं रहती, I always say, if you know, good. If you don't know, very good. The reason is very simple, that there are 1,000 ways to express it. Why to fix into one template? Fine. Number 1. Why people prefer quote? Because in one quote, through one quote, you closely capture the meaning of any topic. Capture the meaning of the topic. That's it, nothing else. कोड से आपको ज्यादा मार्क्स मिलते हैं? नो, नॉट एट ऑल. आप ये भूल जाओ. वो मीनिंग कैप्चर आप कई तरीके से कर सकते हैं. फाइन. नंबर 2, एनेक्डोट. फाइन. हम जब एनेक्डोट की बात करते हैं, एनेक्डोट सिंपली मींस किसी स्टोरी के साथ you want to start. You want to start with some story. आप किसी स्टोरी के साथ स्टार्ट करते हैं, नो इश्यू फॉर दैट. बट यू नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड वन थिंग, स्टोरी टेलिंग इज अ ग्रेट आर्ट. समवन मे बी बेटर फ्रॉम हिज और हर स्कूल डेज, होते हैं, बहुत सारे लोग होते हैं. समवन मे नॉट बी गुड, बट व्हाट हैपेंस दैट जनरली आई हैव फाउंड इन द लास्ट 4-5 years only, जहां पे स्टूडेंट्स ने अचानक से उन्हें ये लगने लग गया है कि एनेक्डोट से ही मार्क्स आते हैं. स्टूडेंट्स स्टार्टेड फीलिंग दैट ओनली एनेक्डोट गिव्स गुड मार्क्स. नो, नॉट एट ऑल. एनेक्डोट इज स्टोरी टेलिंग, एंड थ्रू सर्टेन स्टोरीज यू कैप्चर द एसेंस ऑफ द टॉपिक. अगेन आई एम सेइंग यू, आई एम कमिंग विद सर्टेन एग्जांपल्स. लेट मी फर्स्ट डिकोड एवरीथिंग. मैं पूरी की पूरी एक स्ट्रक्चर बना के रख देता हूं, फिर हम कुछ टॉपिक्स के साथ उसको डिस्कस करेंगे. फाइन. We'll do it. So now next point here. So when we say anecdote, generally people feel that anecdote simply means thinking, visualizing certain ideas, certain stories. But here there are two things. Number one, if you are not very comfortable, don't do now, because you are writing main examination. This is something good for those who are writing next year, and ठीक है, उसके साथ उसके पास time है, one can gradually you can say practice it. But here, since you don't have much time, you do what makes you comfortable to express yourself. That's it, nothing else. आप उसके हिसाब से आप अपने को तैयार करो, rather than कि हम anecdote से. Number one. Number two, now try to dig little bit deep into the anecdote. हम लोग introduction की बात कर रहे हैं. What makes introduction? Fine. So there is one thing called quote. So start कर सकते हैं anecdote. Now there are two ways to start anecdote. Fine. There are two ways to start anecdote. One, when you think hypothetically to construct one story, the way we write some, you can say, storyboard for one advertisement or picture or OTT, etc. कि आप एक imagination में character खड़ा करते हैं और उस character के around आप बात कहते हैं. This is number one. But here what happens, the limitation is here. When you are not a very good storyteller, then you take a little bit longer space. आप ज़्यादा space लेते हैं to tell the story. एक narrative build करने में आप ज़्यादा लेते हैं. Don't do so. Even if you want to do start with the anecdote, try to capture anything which is already in the public domain. So when you capture a story from the public domain, then it becomes quite easier for you to convey the things, which is very short, crisp, clear, loud, and very effective. This is how you communicate. For example, let's say there is a story of struggle you want to convey in your introduction. आप एक introduction, एक topic है जहाँ पे आप struggle की story से start करना चाहते हैं. You have your own struggle story, I have my own story, you have, सबके पास अपनी अपनी story है, और फिर हमारे आसपास भी बहुत सारे struggle की story है. Fine. But the question is, do we have better story of struggle than Mandela? नहीं, हमारी तुम्हारी struggle मंडेला से तो बड़ी नहीं है. Fine. So why not to take something from the public life and create a story around that, which is very short, crisp, very clear, and loud. Even if you want to do the metaphor, sorry, you want to go for the anecdote, do something. If you capture something from the public life, it is quite easier to convey. हम resilience, fight, courage, इसकी स्टोरी कहना चाहते हैं, तो मलाला यूसुफ की स्टोरी लेके हम स्टार्ट कर सकते हैं. इंस्टेड कि हम एक हाइपोथेटिकली कंस्ट्रक्ट करें कैरेक्टर और उस कैरेक्टर के थ्रू हम अपनी बात कहने की कोशिश करें. ठीक है ना, जैसे डोरेमोन और छोटा भीम में करते हैं, तो हम लोग करने की जरूरत नहीं है वो, क्योंकि पब्लिक लाइफ में इतनी स्टोरी पढ़ी हुई है और आपने इतना पढ़ा हुआ है उसको कि वो सिर्फ रिकॉल करने की जरूरत है. इसलिए मैं बार बार कहता हूं कि यू डोंट हैव टू गो फॉर एनीथिंग एक्स्ट्रा इन essay. Essay is all about crafting. Essay is all about visualization. Simply you have to visualize, capture those imagination, visualization, and put it in the right context. And that's why I always say this, that you please spare some time to do the worksheet. मैं इसलिए हमेशा कहता हूँ, वो ना धीरे धीरे ना आपके सबकॉन्शियस ब्रेन को ट्रेन कर रही होती है और रिकलेक्ट करने लगते हैं. आप जो पढ़ा है, आपने हिस्ट्री में पढ़ा होगा, करंट अफेयर्स में पढ़ा होगा, बहुत सारी चीज, तो आप उसको रिकलेक्ट करते हैं, राइट कंटेक्स्ट में पुट करते हैं, एंड देन आप उससे निकल जाते हैं. दिस इज व्हाट यू डू एग्जैक्टली, एंड दिस इज व्हाट इट इज रिक्वायर्ड. हमारी रिक्वायरमेंट भी यही है, इसके बियॉन्ड की रिक्वायरमेंट है नहीं हमारी. फाइन. तो दिस इज एनेक्डोट. फाइन. दूसरा एनेक्डोट है. तीसरा है एनीथिंग व्हिच इज इन न्यूज, और डू यू फाइंड एनी कंटेम्पररी relevance. Fine. Any topic, for that matter, any topic. For example, मैं टॉपिक निकालता हूं. For example, if I say examinations are a necessarily evil. Examinations are a necessarily evil. Fine. अब जब मैं examinations are necessarily evil की बात करता हूं, तो इसका मतलब क्या हुआ? इसका मतलब हुआ कि एग्जामिनेशंस के इन एंड अराउंड अगर कोई न्यूज है तो हमने पिक किया और हमने वहीं से स्टार्ट कर लिया. वो 100% का प्रेशर भी हो सकता है. फाइन. वो एग्जामिनेशन का एक कांस्टेंट फियर भी हो सकता है. वो किसी की सुसाइड और सैड स्टोरी भी हो सकती है, और किसी का वो हैप्पी साइड भी हो सकता है, क्योंकि उसमें एक सेंस ऑफ अचीवमेंट, असेसमेंट भी है. फाइन. बट व्हाट यू फाइंड इन एंड अराउंड, जिस स्टोरी के साथ आप स्टार्ट करना चाहते हैं, हमेशा देखोगे कुछ ना कुछ स्टोरी रहती है. आप कर सकते हो इसको. फाइन. आप चाहो तो न्यू एजुकेशन पॉलिसी के साथ ही स्टार्ट कर सकते हो, बिकॉज दैट टॉक्स अबाउट द एग्जामिनेशन. हम वहां से भी स्टार्ट कर सकते हैं. इट ऑल डिपेंड अपॉन अस. इसलिए मैंने बहुत ही आसान टॉपिक उठाया. ठीक है, तो ये तीसरा तरीका हो गया इंट्रोडक्शन का. फाइन. चौथा तरीका है इंट्रोडक्शन का कीवर्ड्स. Keywords in the sense that when you are not very sure, when you are not very comfortable कि हम स्टार्ट कहां से करें. जैसे हम कोर्ट से स्टार्ट करें, मैं बार बार कह रहा हूं, प्रेशर में आने की जरूरत नहीं. इफ यू नो गुड, इफ यू डोंट नो वेरी गुड. हमको उसमें जाना ही नहीं है यार. Whatever makes me comfortable to express myself, whatever makes me effective to express myself, I will do that. Simple. हम वो करेंगे जो हमको इफेक्टिव बना रही है. हम वो करेंगे ही नहीं जो पॉपुलर है. होगा पॉपुलर, मुझे पॉपुलैरिटी से मतलब नहीं है, मुझे इफेक्टिवनेस से मतलब है. व्हाट मेक्स माय कम्युनिकेशन, व्हाट मेक्स माय यू कैन से एक्सप्रेशन मोर इफेक्टिव. मैं बार बार कह रहा हूं, जब इस तरह से सोचने लगोगे ना, आंसर राइटिंग बिकम्स क्वाइट इजियर इन मेन एग्जामिनेशन, वेदर इट इज ऑप्शनल और जीएस और एथिक्स और ऐसे एनीथिंग. प्रॉब्लम ही सबसे बड़ी है जब हम फिक्स टेम्पलेट में एडजस्ट होने की काम कर रहे होते हैं, और इस 2-2.5 महीने में हम बहुत स्ट्रगल में फंसते हैं. यार ये नहीं हो रहा, यार ये नहीं हो रहा, यार ऐसा नहीं हो रहा. एक स्टूडेंट है प्रभात, ही इज ऑलरेडी रैंक होल्डर. और कॉपी करेक्शन मैं खुद भी बहुत करता हूँ, हिमांशु सर भी करते हैं. तो इज माय सीनियर. रामा सर भी काफी करते हैं. इस बार रामा सर नहीं कर रहे हैं. ही इज वेरी सीनियर, ही इज 68, 67, 68. तो बिकॉज ऑफ सम हेल्थ इशू ही इज नॉट डूइंग. तो मुझे काफी करना पड़ेगा. लेट्स डू, विल डू इट. व्हाट आई फील, जब हम लोगों ने उसकी कॉपी करेक्शन की तो ही वाज नॉट वेरी हैप्पी. सिर्फ उस पे लिख दिया था, प्रभात नाम है उसका, ही इज फ्रॉम IAS, दैट एक्सीलेंट, और छोटा सा रिमार्क देके उसमें. So Prabhat was not very happy with the remark. Fine. That you are good, but he got very good marks, very good marks in essay. Yeah, and finally everything. And then after selection, he came back to us and saying that, sir, very sorry. If you look at his copy, he writes as a very, you can say, school student, like 9th, 10th student. Very simple, very effective. But what happens most of the time, we think that language, jargon, word power, quote, etc. makes my expression good expression. No, not at all. Not at all. Very simple, very clear, and to the point communication. is the key to success. Hardly you will find the person or the candidates, those who are using the jargons or technical things or quotes, etc., they get marks. No, not at all. Not at all. There are several examples. And that's why I say that keyword, when you don't know anything, the fourth thing, we started with the news, and fourth thing is keyword. When you don't know anything, best thing. When you don't know anything, that is the best situation. Pluck low-hanging fruit. What is the low-hanging fruit? The low-hanging fruit in any topic is the keyword. Is the keyword. Because that is apparent, that is visible. You raise your hand, you pluck it. That's it, nothing else. The only answer to climatic change is change. You start with the climatic change. What is climatic change? You start with the news, any disaster. Uske consequences. You start with IPCC report. That's it. There are quotes about the human greed and how it is affecting the environment. But if you don't know, don't know. You don't have to stress your mind to recall. Don't know, don't know. It's very simple as anything. But the only thing, when I say that introduction is all about guess what, it simply means you need to be as direct as possible. You need to be as direct as possible. You cannot deviate here and there. If the whole meaning, what you are trying to convey to the examiner in 100 words, approximately, if it is not very clear, it will not serve the purpose. Now, what is the don'ts? What is the don'ts of introduction? Introduction cannot be a long note on something. Any example, any fact figure has to be short, and then you have to bring out certain thing out of it. Suppose if you cite any example per se is not very important. What you want to convey through that example is important. So you have to bring out the inference or the meaning of that example, and finally what you comment upon it, that becomes the introduction. That becomes the introduction. Fine. So it has to be as direct as possible, which conveys the meaning of the topic. That's nothing else. Don't now go for the thesis, whether the thesis is part of the introduction or not. Please leave it now, as for now. As per now, we have to understand the requirement, and at the same time, we have to assess ourselves that what makes me comfortable in terms of expression, in what way I can express myself effectively. Again, I am saying you, and that's why I am doing such kind of brainstorming, so that you can identify the various components. You can touch and feel various components, and you can simply talk to yourself that what makes you comfortable in making effective communication, effective expression. That's it. हम उसको देखें, समझें. We need to understand it. We need to visualize it. We need to go for the touch and feel, so that we can understand that this is the way I feel myself effective in terms of communication. Again, I am saying you, to everyone writing main examination, behave like an individual, not like crowd. That everyone is saying, right? If everyone's saying something, I have to follow it. Some in lighter moment, मैंने कल भी कहा था, मैं बहुत बार मजाक में कहता हूँ कि हाथ दिखाओ, मैं मार्क्स बता दूंगा, क्योंकि सबके एग्जांपल, सबकी राइटिंग भी सेम है यार. Everything is same. How it is possible? In the plate tectonic continental drift, it seems that it has to be similar. But in anything which is abstract, even if it is constitutional morality, or paper 4, or anything which is highly analytical, critical thinking, open-ended, there you cannot be similar to everyone. Point number one. So am I clear? If you want to ask anything about the introduction, please go ahead. Ask questions. Anything about the introduction? Anything you feel that I'm not able to convey, or you are not able to understand, or any query you have related to?
Sir, suppose they understood the meaning of the topic in wrong way.
Pardon?
Suppose if we understood the meaning of the topic in wrong way, then what can happen?
Then too it's gone. What Gautam is saying, my dear friend, that if I have interpreted something wrong, then what to do? It's wrong. If it is wrong, it's wrong. It happens. Let me come to the you can say topic today itself. So it may be incomplete. That's bearable. Incomplete in the sense, suppose if you are not very close to it, it will work. It may not give you good marks, but it may what? But anything which is wrong interpretation, that is not acceptable. But it rarely happens. Most of the students are not very close to it. They are not very close to it. Somehow they are, you can say, fair in terms of understanding, but not as direct as possible. So this is something you need to be a little bit careful about it. Fine. So Tasim is saying, please explain anecdote. Sri is saying, can we start with self-made simple poem? Yes, you can. Anything which helps you to be effective, short, crisp, as direct as possible, you can. You can, but things has to be in your control. Try to understand. Things has to be very easy and effective. That's it. So let's take the Sims question itself. That please go ahead with the anecdote. Quickly, quick recap. Introduction is all about topic. It simply means the basic essence of introduction is guess. Guess what? What I am. It simply means that it's open. Unfold it. Unfold the meaning of it. Fine. It simply means how do you see the topic and the meaning. Fine. So there are 4 ways to capture the meaning. One is quote. One, you take the quote and then you further comment upon the quote. And when you further comment upon the quote or you explain the meaning of the quote, it becomes, or it takes a shape of introduction. Fine. Number 1. Number 2, anecdote means the storytelling. You convey the meaning of the topic through any story. Fine. It simply means there are 2 ways to do it. One is that you take any character, you build any character, and then through the character or the story, hypothetically, you convey it. But it's a difficult art. Fine. And in the anecdote itself, the next point is, even if you want to take a story, why not to take something from the public life, and then you through the public life story you convey certain things. जो मैंने अभी example दिया था आपको, you can say, I gave the example of Mandela. There are several examples. Even suppose if you want to take the example of consistency, why not to take example of Sachin Tendulkar? Not as a great cricketer, but as a great professional who played and disciplined professional player who played for 25 years. Can you imagine? 20 years continuously you are playing. Consistency. Professionalism. Example है ना? तो हमने capture किया. We captured the Sachin's, not the whole story, but in and around the 20 years playing. And then through this 20 years consistency, I'm conveying the consistency. So there are 2 ways. Again, I am saying it, hypothetically and something you take from the public life. 2 तरीके से कर सकते हो. Feel comfortable. But again and again, I am saying one and only one thing, that whatever makes you comfortable to be comfortable and effective to express yourself. If effective, express yourself. हमको उसमें नहीं जाना यार. क्या popular perception है? क्या social media कर रही है? The next is news, and then the keyword. Fine. कि हम keyword के through हम explain करेंगे. So am I clear? हम इंट्रोडक्शन के बारे में क्लियर है? फाइन, ओके। Thanks, Ashank. Thanks, Anjali. Thanks. Let's move now. So, introduction is, again I am saying you, मैं अभी कुछ टॉपिक भी लूंगा, एक बार मैं कंपोनेंट को डिकोड कर देता हूँ, ब्रेक करता हूँ, and will you can say open on this whiteboard, and then we'll take certain topics and we'll discuss through that. Now the body part. Body part is basically about whatever you have or whatever guess you have made, whatever things you have unfolded in the introduction. Body part simply says, prove it, prove it. Again, I'm trying to understand, there is a difference between you agree. Prove it simply means you agree and disagree, both the things you are capturing. Your final stand is conclusion. Conclusion is your place. So there are three aspects. Introduction is all about topic, body is all about argument, and conclusion is all about you. You. ये तीन डिफरेंस है, ये तीन पार्ट का डिफरेंट डिमांड है. There is a different demand of these three parts. Again, I am saying you, topic is all about, introduction is all about topic, body is all about critical thinking and controlled and measured communication. Measured communication. And then conclusion is all about you reconfirm. Are you sure? Reconfirm. That's it. Reconfirm. This is what the demand is. This is what the demand is. So prove it. So how do we prove it? To prove it, guess, we need certain ideas. You may also call it dimension. I don't want to stuck into any you can say the jargons. अब वो idea है, कुछ लोग dimension कहते हैं, कुछ लोग perspective कहते हैं, कुछ लोग context का. I don't want to go into it. It's basically certain ideas around which you want to now prove your point. Fine. Prove your point. So it is all about three things. Any idea. Every idea or each and every idea has to be complete in itself. Complete in itself. So what you do in the body part? Body part is basically you have to create mini essays. I repeat, mini essays. 4 or 5 mini essays. So each and every idea dimension, you have to treat it as if you are creating a mini essay. And then combining these 4 or 5 mini essays, you create big picture. What we have discussed yesterday. तो जो एक idea है ना, एक dimension है, उसको 150 word, 200 words में we will create as if it is a mini story. What does mean by mini story? It simply means it is complete in itself. It is starting from somewhere and it is finishing somewhere. And then exit to the next dimension. Then exit to the next dimension. Then move to the next dimension. And this is how you keep moving. Up move kar rahe ho. Up move kar rahe ho simply. You are moving. Fine. So here, three things mix. Each and every idea complete in itself. Again, I am saying you that each and every idea dimension has to be complete in itself as if you are writing a mini essay. So you have to just ask yourself to make things quite easier. Can I write 4 or 5 mini essays? You write answers in 150 words in paper 1, 2, 3. Optional likhte ho na? Simply, you have to simply ask, boss, I have to go in the examination hall and I have to write 4 or 5 mini essays in one essay. That's it. Then again, we'll move to the section B. We'll take the topic, we'll write 4 or 5 mini essays, that's it, nothing else. We'll get for 150. Leke aayenge hi aayenge. Nobody can stop. And that's why from the beginning I say that a good strategy is one which makes your task easier. Easier, 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 easier. This year paper was really tough, preliminary examination tough. Many students ask, sir, what to do now? What kind of a strategy we should make and what to do now? See, preliminary examination always gives shock. It brings pain because maximum rejection happens at this level. Maximum rejection happens at this level. So when maximum rejection happens at any level, it brings much pain here. But whenever such thing happens to anyone or to your friends, just you have to remind 2 things to yourself, to your friends, etc. Number 1, that always try to give some time to yourself to settle down. To settle down. Apne ko thoda samay do. To settle down. To be calm, composed, etc. Number 1. And number 2, whether about this examination or any examination or anything in life, there is no scope of self-doubt. There is no scope of self. There is no space for self-doubt in the life. The moment anyone goes to the self-doubt, in the mode of the self-doubt, you are finished. तब कुछ नहीं हो पाएगा. तो इसलिए self-doubt में जाने का कोई sense ही नहीं बनता है यार. This is what the life is all about. But anyway, let's come back to the point. So here, idea and dimension consist of 2, 3, 4, 5 mini essays. And every mini essay will be complete in itself. Fine. Number 1, the idea itself around which you want to convey. Idea itself through which you want to convey anything. X, Y, Z. कोई तो idea होगा ना? To start with, there are 2 ways. Or let me finish first. Ideas, then you explain it or examine it. Fine. And the most important part here in the body part, which I always say it's all about critical thinking. Critical thinking brings here a reasoning. Reasoning. Whenever you bring any reasoning or analysis, try to understand that any reasoning must serve certain purpose. So the first thing first, any reasoning, any questioning, any analysis serve certain purpose. It tries to answer certain questions. So it basically tries to answer certain conflict, certain ideas, certain disagreement, etc. And always it gives a direction. Analysis का मतलब यही होता है. In analysis, what you do? In any analysis, you do reasoning, and any reasoning serves certain purpose. You try to answer certain questions. It serves certain purpose, and also it gives certain direction. And that's why I told in the beginning that it has to be complete in itself. वो अपने आप में complete होगा. तभी mini essay होगा ना. Then only it is a mini essay. Fine. So any idea will complete in itself in and around these things. Idea itself, you explain, and then now you may ask what to do, how to start, what not to start, etc. See, again, I am saying it's all about your comfort and the way you want to express yourself. For example, you want to convey something in and around the big idea. Big thinking. Suppose if I say that if you have to, I'll give you a topic. Fine. If you have to think, why not think big? Suppose it is a topic. When I say that when you have to think, why not think big? This is a topic. जब सोचना ही है तो बड़ा क्यों नहीं सोचे यार? Fine. And you are not coming up with a good idea, but you are coming with certain good example. Because there are certain topics where frequently you are getting examples. You can start with it. No issue for that. But then you have to convert into idea. So you can start with one line statement, then you explain it, and then you substantiate with the example. I repeat, there are 2-3 ways to you can say deal with any idea. Number one, you convey that idea in one sentence, then you explain it, then you substantiate it. The second way is basically that you can start with the example itself, but always mind it that example has to be very short, very crisp, because example per se will not serve any purpose. Rather, what you convey through that example will serve the main purpose, and that is the idea. That will become the idea. Fine. So how do you comment further on that example becomes very important. For example, when you have to think big, why not think big? You want to start with the Muhammad Ali, most welcome. But Muhammad Ali's story itself is nothing unless you make certain perspective and comment out of it. So take very short example. What he did after the retirement, when he hung up his globes, Muhammad Ali, and he is known as the, you can say, not boxer of the century or something else. Rather, he is always known as a sportsman of the century. Because throughout life, he lived for the refugees, usko khana khilana. Do you know? Muhammad Ali, the boxer, went to meet Saddam Hussein to request that some innocent people are in your jail, can you release? हम लोग का तो जितने स्पोर्ट्समैन हैं और एक्ट्रेस हैं, बहुत तो वो खैनी खैनी और एडिडास और XYZ के ऐड करते करते पागल हैं। वो भूखे को कितना लोग खाना खिलाएगा और कितने लोग करेंगे, तो बहुत कम ही होंगे। We don't have, करते होंगे, बहुत लोग करते होंगे, but we don't know. But anyway, so I don't want to go into that. But the story is basically we take the glimpse of it and then you further explain it and you finally make a comment on it and then close it. One mini essay is complete in itself. Fine. So this is what it is. आप कहीं से जहां से भी चाहें आप start करते हैं. Example से करना चाहें, anything you want to start. And the third is basically that also if you want to create a pillar where you think that sometimes you are not able to maintain the flow and you get buffeted, you can create questions. You can create questions. For example, if you look at the copy of Aminat Parikh, there are many students who are not able to maintain the consistency in the flow. So we have started working on the questions. You create question and then you comment on it. But there should not be any subhead sort of thing. It should not be very frequent, as if it becomes a question answer, as if it becomes a compilation or it becomes a GS kind of thing. No, not at all. 3-4 broader questions that captures the big picture and then you answer in and around those. This is also a structure, idea. It all depends upon you. जैसा आपको comfortable लगता है. Again, I will keep on repeating that whatever makes you effective in terms of communication, in terms of handling the topic. लेकिन गौतम issue ये है कि more and more we break everything. More and more everything is in control. The moment we see 1,000 words in one go, it appears कि यार टॉप है कैसे होगा. When we break everything with certain purpose, certain ideas, it's very easy and it becomes manageable. It becomes manageable. For example, introduction, इंट्रोडक्शन को हमने किया, guess what, just to guess and unfold, and there are 4 ways, it becomes manageable. Body को हमने कहा that you create 4 or 5 mini essays, and in mini essays there are 3 things: idea, explanation, and through that explanation you are trying to answer certain things and bring down the examples. Don't give, mind it, don't give too much of examples. I repeat, back-to-back examples often overshadow your key idea. Essay is all about ideas, whether it is contemporary, philosophical, open-ended, close-ended, technical, non-technical, whatever terminology you use, doesn't matter. It's essentially about the ideas. So sometimes you will feel, even if the topic is contemporary in nature, students are not getting marks. Why? Because they are playing with the information. What they have gathered in paper 1, 2, 3 current affairs, they want to push everything. So the moment you want to push everything, it becomes something, you can say, a compilation of information, or it becomes more a kind of general studies answer. So general studies ka answer ho jata hai. And then it creates problem. So number 1, you always keep it in and around the ideas. Number 2, very controlled, and everything you are talking, bring the sense of completion by saying clearly what you want to convey. And third, very important aspect, don't give too much of examples, and especially back to back. Don't give too long historical context or the background. These are certain things that to support your argument, that to support your story, that to support your explanation. So try to understand the word I am using, support. It's not pillar in itself. It is just to support, to bring clarity. Because whenever you use more and more examples, it becomes, or it overshadows the idea. Idea should dominate in your 1,000 words. 1,000 words. Now, my next point in this about the idea. It's basically about, not only about agreement. You may also capture the disagreement. For example, these days you might have seen that there is a lot of talk about freedom of expression. Freedom of expression, freedom of speech. Freedom nahi hai, freedom nahi hai, freedom hai, freedom XYZ, and so many things we are talking about. Fine. Look at when the Charlie Hebdo case happened, when a French tabloid attacked, terrorist attack happened, when French tabloid published Prophet's cartoon. If you do remember, जब Prophet का cartoon publish किया था, तो एक attack हुआ था और France के tabloid पे, and then that is called Charlie Hebdo. So that tabloid, and many we can say the journalists were killed. Fine. So you will find that there were 2 set of arguments. There were 2 set of opinions around that attack. Fine. So one group says, boss, we need freedom. We need freedom of expression. Why? Because freedom of expression is essential criteria for the creativity. Until unless there is a freedom, creativity will not flourish. This is one group. Fine. And another group says, boss, we do agree that freedom is essential for the creativity, but on the name of creativity, you are not allowed to hurt the sentiment of others. There are 2 views. My freedom के नाम पे तुमको sentiment hurt करने का कोई अधिकार नहीं है. You cannot do it. Now, whatever side you are, in body part, try to capture the discussion, debates in a very controlled way. That gives you the edge. That gives you the edge of 150, 160. Because whenever it's information driven, most of the candidates will go like this. But what makes you better than the others is the quality of the analysis and the clarity, with the great amount of clarity you say. So whenever you analyze anything, critically analyze anything, etc., but even then you are very clear in terms of communication, you are win. You already आप जीत गए केस, आपने गेम जीत लिया. So It's very important for you to understand here that the critical thinking here, body part, is basically about agreement, disagreement, whatever it is. You capture it. आप उसको capture करो. You capture it. Fine. Now I'm not talking about the paragraphing, etc. Then we'll talk sometime later. Usko we'll talk in the different session. Fine, different session. So this is what about the body part. Any question related to the body part?
So we talk first, let's say, student-wise, or we can talk all the things simultaneously.
You can talk both the things simultaneously. So he is saying that in this context, what we should do? You can talk this simultaneously. Don't worry for that. Again, I am saying you, whatever makes you comfortable in terms of making effective communication. That's it. Nothing else. Nothing else. So Anjali is asking, repeat critical thinking part. Fine, Anjali. See, critical thinking here simply means whenever you are dealing with any idea, you need to be very important to evaluate and examine certain things. So moment you evaluate, examine certain things, then actually you are doing critical thinking. But what happens that whenever we think of critical thinking, analysis, it gives us impression that we need more space to write. No, not at all. Critical thinking, analysis, we can do in 20-25 words even. That's it, number one. But what is the purpose? And do we have example? Yes. And how to do it? The purpose is basically that you are reasoning certain things. And while doing reasoning, you are trying to, it must serve certain purpose. It should settle certain questions. And you can say it must give the direction. That's why it is analysis, or it's a critical thinking. Critical thinking is not simply about raising the question. It's also about settling the question. It's also about settling the discussion. It's also about giving the direction. For example, just see, critical thinking. The only answer to climate change is change. Fine. This is a topic. The only answer to climate change is change. Now, to do so, critical thinking. Now, suppose if you are talking about answer, you are talking about answer, and in the answer, you think that sustainable development is the solution. Now you are doing a critical thinking that 1972, when the first Earth Summit is started, and when the G20 happens now, the whole idea is Vasudev Kutumbakam. One Earth, one family. More climatic resilience attitude, fine, etc. This is what it is. So right from 1972 to the G20 now, approximately 50 years. In these 50 years, a lot of experiments, initiatives happened at the global, national and local level. But despite all the things, problem is increasing, carbon footprint is increasing. Fine, carbon footprint is increasing. Now, if it is the case, if this is the case, then one needs to understand here what sustainable development is doing, or the idea of sustainable development. The question is, it is possible? And if it is possible, then why it is not happening? Now, why it is not happening? Now we are doing a reasoning, critical thinking by saying, by raising questions, Anjali, that sustainable development as an idea is very good, but when we implement, there is a paradox, because both the things go, you can say, parallelly. sustainable development and economic development. And when it goes parallel, there is a paradox. One says consume more, one says consume less. And that's why always you will find the current economic development model wins, because that is more powerful in terms of the culture, more powerful in terms of the market, more powerful in terms of the self-interest, and there's so many things. So what we are doing, we are reasoning for a purpose. We are trying to settle certain questions or giving it a direction. How we are giving it a direction? By saying that yes, it is a solution, but there is a paradox. There is a paradox. So this is what Anjali has asked about, you can say, critical thinking. Fine. So this is all about idea. ठीक है ना? ये हो गया हमारा. So Prashant is saying that do we need to end many essays with critical thinking? No, Prashant, not at all. Not at all. You have to end anything. You have to begin anything, number one, through which you are comfortable to convey. But the idea must be convey what you want to convey, number one. And simply means, what is your final say on that? What is your final say on that? So whenever you are using idea, examples, analysis, etc., it's up to you. Up to you. Up to you. Example को आप पहले लेके आ रहे हैं, आइडिया को आप पहले लेके आ रहे हैं, उसके बाद आप एक तरह की एनालिसिस कर रहे हैं, then you are doing analysis and then you are making a final comment, closing line through which you close one dimension and then you move to the another dimension of the idea. That's it. Nothing else. There is nothing called fixed format. There is nothing called template. I will keep, you can say, reminding this again and again, again and again, again and again. I will do this. Fine. So this is what the body part is. Fine. Let's go to the conclusion now. In the conclusion, let's very quick, you can say, recap sort of thing. So we started with guess what? Then we go to prove it. Then we go to the third by asking question, are you sure? Reconfirm. So how do you reconfirm? You reconfirm, or are you sure? You convey it through a very comprehensive, compact 2-3 paragraphs, which captures or which may capture two things. Number one, whatever you have discussed in the body part, the crux and the gist of it. Sometimes you may feel it's repetitive. It will be repetitive because you are making the gist of it. You are talking about the crux of it. So in any case, it has to be repetitive. But it cannot be as it is, because here you are doing in 50 words. Here you have already consumed 600, 700 words. So whatever you have done in almost 7 to, you can say 800 words, you are doing here in 100 words. 50 words is the crux, and 50 word, anything which you think which is futuristic. Anything where you simply ask question and you want to keep open-ended questions. You feel free, because that is your space. But it should be connected to the meaning, body, etc. Because the final thing you are making, it's you. It's you. Ye aap hai. Where you have to take a stand. Don't hesitate to take a stand. It does not mean unnecessary criticism, etc. But you can take. Fine. So this is all about a structure. Now, yes, you can ask questions. Then I will go with the examples.
So in how many words should we write?
Conclusion. It should be in and around 75 words. See, it cannot be more than 75 or 100 because then it will start becoming burden for you and repetitive. It can be two things, crux of whatever you have discussed or any kind of, you can say, suggestion you want to make, or you want to keep your essay end by asking certain questions or raising certain questions. You are welcome, no issue for that. Structure. So, आगे बढ़े? Am I clear today about the structuring part? Okay, thanks Anjali, thanks Prashant, thanks Shri. So what I am going to do now, when we are talking about the structure, now we will take certain topic examples, and through those examples or topics, we'll conclude it. We'll give it a final shape of our discussion. Again, I am saying you, please give some time, not more than 15 to 20 minutes, to create this kind of framework. What I am doing, I am creating framework. This is I do in contemporary issues also. This is I do in ethics also. This is I do in essays also. And some of the part of, you can say, geography, especially the economic geography I used to take because, and what I did in these years, I have realized after talking to the students, because you see, I talk to you, everyone, I correct copies myself. If you look at my LinkedIn profile, it's completely different, working with the government, internal security, etc. Completely different, but I do you can say copy correction. That gives me learning opportunity. And over the year, what I've realized that whether me, you, or any other faculty or anyone, if we are able to create the framework of any paper, anything, then our task becomes a little easier to fix the things, to improve the things, to work upon. It is very clear and visible. This is what I'm doing. Not lecturing about the women empowerment, child labor. This is not essay. No. वो तो हम लिख के दे सकते हैं. That I can give you in writing. In any case, we'll give you. What is that? उसके लिए time क्यों बर्बाद करना है? I will teach you to create framework first. In framework, you try to see the different components, combining which it becomes a good piece of writing. And there you have to identify, locate how you are going to do certain things. That's it, nothing else. Nothing else. And this is what I'm doing. This board is an example of this, that the every component is now visible. थोड़ा hodgepodge हो गया है पूरा, लेकिन यही है. Just my simple submission and request is that whenever you get little bit time, you just flip it and just keep yourself close, open-ended. Just think 10, 15, 20 minutes about the different components. And then you communicate to yourself what makes you comfortable in certain ways. आप किस तरीके से comfortable है? In which way you are comfortable? That's it. Nothing else. Rest I will take care. Rest I will take care. Again, I am saying you, if you are able to create the framework, then task becomes quite easier. Just wait for this week. Sometime we'll do the case study session. I guarantee that you can finish in 12 to 13 minutes by creating framework. The moment you are able to finish case study in ethics paper in 12 to 15 minutes, your job is done. आपका काम हो गया. Then only you can sustain the quality of the answer, because now you have a grip over the time management. You know that within this stipulated time, whatever complicated lengthy paper are there, I'm able to complete the paper. You can do it. Just because of the framework, you create framework. जैसे ये है ना, you just wait. By next week, we will have one first test, not full mock, one call. Because now after communication, making you can say a discussion, the one test is required. So with that, real discussion between you and me starts. कि कहाँ improve करना है, कहाँ करना है. That is also a good challenge for me, because then only it will help me to know that whether I am able to communicate or not. तभी तो हम फिक्स भी करेंगे ना, काम करेंगे. And by the time we'll reach to the mock, you will feel that 60, 70, 80% things are under control. आ गई है, चीजें कंट्रोल में आ गई. This is why again and again I am reminding and requesting, please spare some time, 10 to 15 minutes, for two things. Recall. For example, if you are giving 10 hours to your self-study, create some 4, 5, 15 minutes slot just to rethink, just to settle down, just to recall everything. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, whatever you are reading. And just to create little bit of framework. जैसे आंसर राइटिंग के बारे में मैं कहता हूँ, आंसर राइटिंग, you try to create a framework. Framework means 4 things: clarity, demand of the question, relevance, depth means analysis, and structure. In these 4 things, in and around these 4 things, 4 components, where I am moving, where my answer writing is moving, whether it is optional or anything else. Fine. So this is what it was. Now let me now finish it. Thank you. Fine. So now I'm taking a topic. Fine. This is one topic. God is dead, monster is alive. God is dead and monster is alive. So what we are going to do now, we'll do 2 things. Number 1, first we will do the brainstorming to get the idea, and then we will go for creating the body part or the intro part or structuring. Fine. So let's start brainstorming. Brainstorming. Fine. What is this topic is all about? Yes, good. What is this topic is all about?
Whatever the negative perception to whoever has said this like and very negative perception of the world.
Okay, Shashank is saying morality is declining among the people. Okay, fine. You are saying good and evil.
Like whoever has said that has a negative perception of the world and is trying to वही सब कुछ गलत हो रहा है कलयुग
कलयुग. अरे नहीं, सब कुछ गलत नहीं हो रहा है. It's very important here. Try to understand that in this type of topic or any topic, please don't watch for anything very extreme. Please, one needs to understand. That's why I have used one word you might have noticed: controlled and measured communication. Don't go for any extreme sort of thing कि कलयुग है साहब, भगवान को मार दिया और मॉन्स्टर जिंदा है, मॉन्स्टर ऐश कर रहा है, मॉन्स्टर इंडिया छोड़ के भाग जाता है. Wonderful. Tansim saying that negativity win over the positivity. I have a question. Do you agree? Now, my first question to you. Do you agree with the topic? Simple question is, do you agree with the topic?
We will go to explain the things that we will not agree that.
So Durga is saying rise of secularism can also be meant, okay. People losing hope, Prashant is saying, okay. My simple question to you, do you agree with the topic? Do you agree? Okay. So Tasim Banzar saying not at all. Not at all. Okay. Durga is saying that yes and no both. What else? Do you agree? Okay. So there are two keywords around which we'll start thinking. The first thing first, that we need to go to the meaning closer, as close as possible. To start, again, I am saying you, there are two kinds of meanings. One is apparent meaning, which is visible. One is underlying meaning, which you have to probe, inquire. To do so only, you do the brainstorming and you confirm yourself, this is what the topic is all about. Fine. Because often underlying meaning is not visible. Even in the contemporary issues, always it's not visible. For example, when I say the only answer to climatic change is change, you will find many students will write on the climatic change. मैंने देखा यहाँ पे मैंने topic दिया था, भर दिया सबने climatic change. अरे, that question is not about climatic change. That about the solution. What is the real solution? Not the solution, the real solution. The only answer to climatic change is change. You talk about this. सबने आधा climatic change problem है, ये है consumerism, materialism. कचरा कर डालता IPCC की report. So here the keywords. So take the two keywords. So here God means what? Goodness. God here symbolizes. Here you can say. So God is omnipresent. God is just and kind. God is compassionate. This is what we pray. Meri suno. Fine. This is what it symbolizes. Here you don't have to go with the literal meaning of the God and search of the truth पे नहीं जाना है अभी. ऐसे में ये बहुत जरूरी है. So God symbolizes merciful, क्षमा. We go pray, confess. करते हैं ना हम. फिर God symbolizes supportive, helping, fine, benevolent, without any discrimination. Without any discrimination. This is what God symbolizes. God का मतलब ये है ना. Fine. Whenever we think of monster is scrupulous, greedy, more greedy for power and wealth, excessive self-interest. There is nothing wrong in self-interest, but excessive self-interest is become something wrong. When you want to win at any cost, at the cost of the other's life also. Winning is important, but when you think winning at any cost and the cost of the other's life also or anything, then there is a big question. Big question. Monster who believe in doing violence, they are violent. And finally, acts against the good. Against the good. Fine. Against the good. So these are, you can say, a general meaning that gives a broader impression that here in the contemporary world, good is losing and evil is winning. Winning, in general meaning, general meaning. Agreement, disagreement, etc. will come later. Fine. To go for key idea, now we will do brainstorming. In the brainstorming, what we do? I had told you that first of all, you agree, disagree, set yourself free for 2-3 minutes. Brainstorming do in 2 phases. It should not take you more than 6-7 minutes maximum. First 2, 3, 4 minutes, simply asking and writing questions. You talk to the topic that what is good? Sorry, what is good? Okay, fine, you can start. Who are God? Where are God? Is it true that God is dead or alive, or we are not able to see anything else? Fine. Similar is monster. Why monster is alive or monsters are alive? What makes them alive? How they are able to, you can say, live? How they are able to become so powerful that they kill the God or the goodness, etc. Fine. These are certain questions that comes to the mind. That comes to the mind. Fine. Out of this, we'll create certain ideas. And those ideas we will create into my essay. Fine. Why I'm creating this kind of, you can say, line on the board, that whenever you go for writing essay, your essay should evolve. Your essay should evolve. Always you demand that your essay should evolve. वो evolve करेगा. And that's why whenever you want to start, you should start with something very basic, where you put the context right. And then gradually you are taking to the one level, another level, another level, another level, etc. Fine. So let's start with the introduction. What I told you in the introduction, there are 4 ways. 4 ways. And nothing could be better than to start with the quote. But again, I am saying you, क्योंकि इसके लिए इस तरह के topics के लिए quote बहुत आता है. But again, I am saying you, if you know, good. If you don't know, very good. Fine. Number 2, anecdote. You can start with Indian scriptures, stories, etc. You can start with something very contemporary, very, very contemporary. That how in today's time, goodness is losing and become the sign of weakness. Fine. You have to substantiate it. You can pick any news also. You can use any news. And then the last I told you that you may start with the keyword itself. What does it mean by God? God is one who explain it. Start. That is low hanging fruit. Then again, I am saying you, whatever makes you comfortable. Whatever makes you comfortable, you can capture the intro in 100 words. Yes, please. Karo na, karo. Yes, you want to start with the mob lynching? Go ahead. But it should not be as if you are writing as a journalist or activist or anything, or any political tinge should not be there. Should not be there. That's why again and again I will keep reminding that in any case it has to be controlled and measured communication. ये हमेशा controlled और measured communication ही होगा. Please try to understand. वो वहां पे सिर्फ संभाल के रखना है अपने आप को. Nothing else. Nothing else. So here you can say the introduction. Now you go to the body part. Fine. From where you want to start? Now you tell me. body part. Discuss. What dimension you want to take first? कहाँ से start करना चाहते हो? What idea you have to discuss first? So body में आने दो ना. What is goodness? If you want to start with the goodness, I'm okay with that. No issue for that. If here you want to tell any story, anecdote, anything else, then it's okay. Otherwise, you want to talk about the goodness, let's talk about the goodness. Or you want to talk about the God, symbolizes goodness. ये भी एक तरीका हो सकता है. Anything else?
So we can write about other positive features like truth, non-violence.
Okay, fine. But tell me very specifically what you want to discuss. So suppose if you want to talk about the good or the God, good is like light. And evil is like absence of the light. Fine. Do we have example? Yes. There are many social reformers, many philanthropists, you will find. है ना? मदर टेरेसा से लेके और बहुत सारे लोग ऐसे हैं, राजा राम मोहन राय तक, जिसमें एक लाइट, होप एटसेट्रा दिखती है अगेंस्ट द इविल. फाइन. जिसमें गुडनेस का एलिमेंट है, गुडनेस का ही एलिमेंट है, दिखता है. फाइन. देन God represents good attributes. So talk about the next, talk about those attributes. And what is the importance and significance of that attributes? Love, hope, compassion, forgiveness, merciful, etc. This makes us more human. More human. Fine. Now start asking questions. Gradually, your critical thinking does not mean from the very first paragraph you will start. Gradually. Now you set the context, now you will start. Is it true to say that God is dead? Now you have to go with the critical thinking. Why not? God is dead. If we say God is dead, yes, there are several examples. There are several examples. Examples of corruption. Examples of less investing in relationships. Less compassionate. Do we have examples? Yes. Warren. Okay, wars. I said Warren. Warren is a different battlefield here. यहाँ भी तुमको ये टॉपिक मिल जाएगा, relevant है. This topic is relevant in the context of the Warren.
Sir, can I ask?
Yes, please. Oh, what a question Gautam has asked. So Gautam is saying that it is often said that ORN is graveyard of demographic dividend. See, it's not about ORN. It's basically about everywhere where youths are wasting their time. They are not using their potential. Anywhere, whether it is ORN or Mukherjee Nagar, or you can say Ashok Nagar of Hyderabad or Anna Nagar of Chennai. So any Nagar XYZ is a graveyard of youth when they are simply wasting their time or not reaping the benefit of their potential. होगा यार, कोई भी होगा. आज का कैंपस, जो कॉलेजेस कैंपस है, वो ग्रेवयार्ड ही तो है. तो है, बहुत बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट तो है, सवाल तो है, बट एनीवे लेट्स कम बैक टू द पॉइंट. So the second part is basically here we'll start into the critical thinking. Critical thinking is simply means now we are examining. Now we are entering into that. अब हम enter कर रहे हैं. Probing, agreement, disagreement, etc. Fine. So just a quick recap or remind what I told you about the critical thinking. Critical thinking is all about asking certain questions, probing. But whenever we do reasoning, it should, number one, serve certain purpose. It should try to help to settle down certain question. And it should give direction. Direction. तभी तो thinking हुई ना साहब. अगर वो hodgepodge है, if it is a hodgepodge, then what is the critical thinking into it? Then it is a chaos. Then it is a noise. Then it is a noise. Fine. God is dead. Fine. God is dead. Take the data through which you can say goodness is sometimes sign of weakness. ये weakness का sign है sir. Fine. Then we have to ask why it is so. Why it is so. Why it is so. For example, take the whole idea, concept of wealth itself. Wealth. Wealth is means. But in today's time, what happened? Wealth become end. So when means become end in itself, the whole purpose of the life is defeated and turned around. Now we are living and dying to accumulate the wealth, not to use it as a means, rather to accumulate. It became the end of the life. Is it? You can say visibly in the society? Yes, everywhere. How and why? Because remember, values permeates social order. I repeat my sentence. Values permeates social order. जो भी वैल्यू होगी ना वो सोशल ऑर्डर को परमिएट करती है. यू विल फाइंड एट द डिफरेंट स्ट्राटा ऑफ द सोसाइटी. सब व्हाई डू टॉक ओनली नेगेटिव अबाउट द पॉलिटिक्स. सिर्फ नेगेटिव क्यों बात करें साहब? हाँ, दूसरे फील्ड में नहीं, क्या स्पोर्ट्स में, क्या ब्यूरोक्रेसी में नहीं है? अगर ब्यूरोक्रेसी में नहीं है तो इतना सेलेक्टेड कैंडिडेट अच्छे अपने टाइम के टॉपर और बहुत अच्छा कर रहे हैं और इतनी पढ़ाई की, कई ऐसे हैं जो जेल चले गए हैं ना करप्शन के केस में. अरे तो जब जेल ही जाना था तो इतने पढ़ने की जरूरत कितनी, तैयारी करो, एनसीईआरटी पढ़ो, लक्ष्मीकांत पढ़ो, फिर एग्जाम दो, फिर लवासना जाओ और फिर सर्विस करो, फिर जेल जाओ. अरे तो तुम सीधे भी जा सकते थे ना, मेट्रो पकड़ो और चले जाओ. जेल जाने के लिए थोड़ी इतना मेहनत कर रहे हो. पहले ऐसे सीखेंगे, फिर लिखेंगे, फिर नंबर लाएंगे, फिर लवासना जाएंगे, फिर जेल जाएंगे. But anyway, so this is one. Fine. Let's come to the monster. What makes monster win? बताओ. What makes monster? Why monster wins? Next question. बहुत आसान है. See, again I am saying you, creating pillars of essay is very easy. Very easy. You have to create a framework. That's it, nothing. Why it's, I always say for the framework, because once you start creating framework, you start getting the content and the context, because it is somewhere here. That framework makes everything visible and more relevant, aligned. Why monster wins? Okay. So you say that it's because of the excessive self-interest.
Like we use the
Okay. Okay. Power hungry. Okay. Sasank saying, doing the good thing is difficult and we choose the easy way to out. Many times easy way is unethical or easy way is the race. Fine. Okay. Monster wins. Excessive greed, loss of values. Yes. Do we have example in election? Yes. Many scrupulous, greedy, or you can say politicians who are involved in very, you can say serious crimes, they win. हम और तुम खड़े हो जाए ना इलेक्शन में तो हम लोग का घर वाला वोट नहीं देगा बोले फालतू इन लोग को देके वेस्ट करने से अच्छा किसी और को दे। बहुत अच्छे लोग आज के डेट में कोई शरीफ आदमी ये बोल सकता है कि नहीं मैं पीएचडी हूँ, गोल्ड मेडलिस्ट हूँ और मैं इलेक्शन में खड़ा होना चाहता हूँ, उसके घर वाला मारेगा, चल दूसरे काम करो. इट इज नॉट योर कप ऑफ टी. वी कैन नॉट फाइट. व्हाई? क्वेश्चन इज व्हाई? Monsters are rewarded. By whom? By the society itself. By the society itself. And so you can say Prashant is writing, doing good thing, Shashank is writing, doing the good thing is difficult. Yes. What makes it difficult is the critical thinking. By simply saying that good thing, doing good thing is difficult is not enough. Why? Why? Can you reason out with to settle certain questions, to give it a direction? Again, I am saying you, whenever you do critical thinking, it has to be very controlled measure. It does not mean a space, rather raising a relevant question and giving and settling that questions or that discussion or debate is critical thinking. That clarity gives you edge in the examination. गौतम वही तुमको 150 160 क्रॉस कराएंगे. Because as far as information is concerned, most of the people at par, competent candidate are at par. Candidate competent at par ही है, उसमें ज्यादा का डिफरेंस नहीं है, उसमें ज्यादा का डिफरेंस नहीं है. ठीक है, तो ये करेंगे और फिर हम लास्ट में जिसे आप वे फॉरवर्ड कहते हैं, आई डोंट कॉल इट अ वे फॉरवर्ड rather than simply saying here that it seems that present ethical and moral standards have you can say there are some areas where it is declined, but it's wrong to say that God is dead. God cannot be dead. If the God is dead, planet will be cease to exist. God is there. God is within us. God is in the society. God is in the goodness. Do we have example? Yes, we have examples. We have examples. दशरथ मांझी से लेके और बहुत सारे examples हैं. Community leaders हैं, कितने community leaders हैं? They are the sign of the God. Goodness, compassion. जो अपनी पूरी लाइफ ही सोसाइटी को दे दिया उन्होंने. बहुत है. गांधी, आई डोंट वांट टू टेक नेम बिकॉज एवरीवन विल राइट. Yes, of course, yes. Of course, yes. Of course, yes. Conscience because of their environment, greediness. Yes, I do agree, my dear friends. I do agree. So this is how we create. Let me take one very quick one topic and we'll finish it today's session very quick. Isolation is not a choice. My last topic today's session. Isolation is not a choice. Fine. आज का शीट होगा बाहर, पीडीएफ लेते आना. Isolation is not a choice. Let's do brainstorming with me. Fine. Do brainstorming with me first. ये इसको घर लेते जाना, इसको हाँ ये दे दो, एक मुझे दे दो. So this is the sheet that you will get today. Fine. वो अकाउंट में, माई अकाउंट में पीडीएफ भी अपलोड कर देना. Fine. जो हम लोग आज डिस्कस किए हैं ना, उसको एग्जीक्यूट करने की कोशिश करना in 20 minutes. That's it. तो इसी तरह से हम लोग हर कंपोनेंट को विल ट्राई टू वर्क ऑन सर्टेन कंपोनेंट्स. फाइन, घर पे उसको कर लेना, नो इशू फॉर दैट. लेट्स कम टू द पॉइंट. सो डू द ब्रेनस्टॉर्मिंग हियर. सो इन ब्रेनस्टॉर्मिंग वी आर आस्किंग सर्टेन क्वेश्चंस. फाइन, वी आर कैप्चरिंग सर्टेन aspects of it. Fine. So let's start with isolation. We are talking. So man is a social animal. Fine. Man is a social animal. But why do we live in group? Another question. Group. रहते हैं तो हम लोग ग्रुप में ही ना. We do live in group. But when we do live in group, then what does mean by isolation in group? What does mean by it? What we are doing is simply talking to the question. Why we are social animal? We live in group. Then we are talking about the isolation. So what does mean by isolation in a group? Isolation in a group. Then the question is, why does a person decides to isolate himself or herself? People decide to isolate himself or herself. Fine. What purpose isolation serve? Does any purpose isolation serves? Any purpose isolation serve? कोई purpose serve करती है क्या? Are we free to decide about isolation? Are we free to decide about isolation? Can isolation come with idea of willingness, that I'm willing to be to live in isolation? Is isolation a consequence and corollary of modern life or modern life? Fine. Now, तो हम क्या कर रहे हैं गौतम? What I'm doing? I'm simply raising questions. हम क्वेश्चन लिख रहे हैं, आइडियाज को कैप्चर कर रहे हैं. It will be random. I again say that brainstorming will be random. It has to be. And please, for 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes, just set your brain free so that you can freely communicate with the topic. Brainstorming simply means communicating to the topic, talking to the topic, making a dialogue with the topic, touch and feel. आप उसको टच एंड फील कर रहे हैं कि दैट व्हाट यू आर, आप हैं क्या साहब, थोड़ा प्रोब करते हैं सो दैट वी गेट ग्रेटर टॉपिक, वी गेट ग्रेटर श्योरिटी, देन ओनली वी विल गेट द आइडिया अबाउट द इंट्रोडक्शन ऑल्सो, क्योंकि हम श्योर हो गए. नाउ वी आर वेरी श्योर अबाउट द टॉपिक एंड सो विल मेक वेरी प्रिसाइज इंट्रोडक्शन अबाउट द टॉपिक. हम आइसोलेशन की लेंगे, हम सुसाइड की स्टोरी लेंगे. अभी वो नेशनल क्राइम ब्यूरो की रिपोर्ट आई है, उसमें सुसाइड की रिकॉर्ड देखो, रिकॉर्ड ऑफ द सुसाइड, वहीं से हम पिक कर लेंगे किसी भी चीज को. हम आइसोलेशन की मीनिंग से पिक कर लेंगे, हम मॉडर्न लाइफ में आइसोलेशन पिक कर लेंगे. सोशल मीडिया क्या लिखना चाहते हो? आई एम नॉट इन सोशल मीडिया यार, मुझे भी सिखाओ थोड़ा सा तो मैं भी आता हूँ. मैंने एक बैच में कहा, आई टोल्ड समवन, he told me that one student told me that I am sir very active in social media. I told him that you teach me social media, I will teach you whatever it is required in the class on the lighter note. But anyway, let's come to the point. Now, my pillars around which I will create my essay. Fine? Essay. Fine? So, number one, isolation for inner communication. Because what it say, isolation is not a choice. Isolation is not a choice. Again, this is a topic where you cannot completely agree or disagree. Because there are both the sides. And that's why in the body part, you explore both the sides and then enter to the conclusion. So first is isolation for inner communication. Great people, sages. Yes, sages were known to do such kind of things. Great people seek isolation to introspect on the questions of life. Communicate, they make communications with the self. कहते हैं ना, आर्टिस्ट को देखोगे, फिलोसफर्स को देखोगे, ज्यादातर फिलोसफर्स की, अगर तुम थिंकर्स और फिलोसफर्स की पर्सनल लाइफ देखो ना, इट्स रियली वेरी पुअर और बैड, माने इन द वेरी बैड सेप. सबकी पत्नी ने घर से निकाल दिया है कि दिन भर यही करना, तो घर छोड़ो, हटाओ, भागो बाहर. Anyway, so isolation for inner communication. Fine. But it's a choice. Everywhere it's not a choice. How? Social exclusion. Take the another idea, social exclusion. Social exclusion. Dalits, untouchability, women. Gender issue is there. ठीक है. So you will find that is also a case of isolation because of the social exclusion. Social exclusion because of the tradition. It may be patriarchy, it may be culture. Fine. Examples है अपने पास? है. So isolation is not a choice. Here दिखता, yes. It's not a choice. They are forced. Here it's a choice. But here it's not choice. It's also because of certain conditions. Yes. Yes. Metro life, urbanized life, and individualism. And individualism. Individualism. Do you know in UK there is a dedicated ministry for this? Ministry of Isolation. वो एक वर्ल्ड में पहली कंट्री है जिसने इसके लिए डेडिकेटेड मिनिस्ट्री बनाई है. After that, Japan also recently 2 years back, especially after the COVID, created a separate ministry because there the frustration of life is so much. I tell you, I'd give you 2 examples. If you look at, and this is already in public domain, there are you can say coffee chain in Britain, London especially, where isolated people or those who feel isolated in life, they go, their seats are reserved. If you sit there, the coffee house understand it very well that you need companion. They go, they have some people who are good in, you can say, in making some sort of conversation. वो बैठते हैं, बात करते हैं घंटों, और उसका वो बिल चार्ज करते हैं कॉफी के साथ. And it's very, देखो chatter coffee का देखो examples होगा. In Japan, it's very much prevalent nowadays that you hire someone, you punch your you can say anger, जितना है भड़ास लाइफ के निकालो, give him $40, बात खत्म हो गई. जिसको डेमोग्राफिक डिविडेंड या ग्रेवयार्ड लग रहा है वो उसके लिए कैरियर है. जो अभी तुमने कहा. So There are examples, yes, examples, isolation के examples, and there are several examples जो ये दिखाती है कि how isolated we are, especially in this world which is very techno-driven. Very techno-driven. We are virtually connected to the world, but the other side of is that if you see the rate of divorce, rate of separation, marriage and as an institution is gradually coming down, and there are several data to support it. Data to support it. US में तो out of 8 marriages, 7 marriages survives only 3 years. I repeat, in US, out of 8 marriages, 7 marriages survives only 3 years. उस शादी की जीवन जो है वो 3 ही साल है. 3 years only. Rate of illegitimacy is national rate of illegitimacy 30%. African American community में it's more than 60%. तो यार एक टाइम के बाद तो ऐसा होगा when people means 50% of the people doesn't know who is my parent. मेरा बाप कौन है, मेरी माँ कौन है, हम कहाँ रहते हैं, कौन है हम. And it's not hypothetical. बहुत सारे कंट्रीज हैं जिसकी एक रियलिटी बनती जा रही है. Now what we call it live-in relation. इसी को हम लोग कहते हैं ना. Why? Because we are the owner of our body. We have our right. We have freedom. हम लोग कहते हैं मैं चाहे ये करूं, मैं चाहे वो करूं, मेरी मर्जी. You are the owner. ठीक है, इसके consequences भी आप ही के होंगे साहब. Anyway. Just a moment. Fine. So the topic was very clear. Isolation is not a choice. In isolation is not a choice. We have discussed certain, you can say, ideas. Isolated, choice, not a choice, condition. Because it's a compulsive factor also. It's not very easy to talk about that to live a life the way we want. We are living in a world which is highly competitive. We have to pay our bills. It's survival of the fittest is a reality. Is a reality. So social cohesion is lacking. And in the COVID time, it was appeared both the sides of the social cohesion. At many places, it appeared that the you can say that life is managed by the society. Somewhere, society was completely neglected, rejected the people. देखा होगा आपने, दिल्ली में कितने लोग, हजारों लोग पैदल जा रहे थे, किसी ने घर से निकल के रोटी तो नहीं दिया, खाना तो नहीं दिया. So we have several examples. So my concluding remark is basically that number one, whatever topic comes to you, start thinking from the keywords, then gradually go into the internal, you can say, holistic meaning of it by combining and understand the holistic meaning of it. Then you inquire it through the questions, and then you get out of it a concrete central idea that this is the central idea, central theme, big picture, and then you come out of 2, 3, 4, 5 ideas around which you want to explain the central theme or the big picture. While doing so, you explain it, you analyze it, but be it in the control of your communication. That's it, nothing else. This is what the structuring means. I'm not talking about the conclusion, because first of all, I want to talk more about the introduction and the body part. एक बार वो control में आ जाए ना, conclusion is तो just one day game, just one day game. Because conclusion is simply exit, but graceful exit. After doing all these things, conclusion is simply exit, but it has to be a graceful exit. The biggest problem of the essay writing is that you are writing and sometimes you feel frustrated, you exit forceful exit. It appears fulfilling. थोड़ा सा लिखें, हटाओ यार, खत्म करो, कितना लिखेंगे. It appears in the answer sheets. It has to be a graceful exit. That's it, nothing else. This is what the essay is. हो गया, इतना ही है. Create framework. Now I will, you can say, you take this sheet, fine. Whatever we have discussed, do it, discuss with your friends, the peer group. Very brief, bahas mat karna. Don't do, peer group, those who are especially giving mains this time. But एक mindset, एक clarity आती जाएगी धीरे धीरे. Wherever you have doubt, my number is there. Just put message to me. हम लोग यहाँ पे हैं, मिल सकते हैं, discuss कर सकते हैं gradually. So now the next session will be on, you can say, a test. You will get the schedule on PM test language. Before that, I will give you 1 or 2 sheets more to do a particular kind of exercise before going to writing the test. And I'm there for dot killing, any kind of dot killing. And then that's it, nothing else. Okay. Any query you have, please ask questions. Ask questions, anything you want to ask. I think this brings clarity to you. Good. Okay, fine. So if you don't have questions, Shashank is saying that how to create mini essays. See, there is nothing called priority, Shashank. Priority simply means that you will have to go in such a way that help your essay to evolve. Wherever you want to discuss certain things of very elementary nature, for example, what is good and what is God, what makes something God, it should be a starting point. But why, whether God is dead or not, it will come later. You cannot do whether first you discuss what is God, God is dead or not, and then you discuss what is goodness. This cannot be sequence. Sequence simply means that it is interconnected and it is evolving. And some of the very intense discussion where you think that there is a scope of good discussion, critical thinking, you take it little later. Allow your essay to evolve. First, some of the very basic aspect of the topic, and then you gradually take it to the things. So this is but a general way to write. Otherwise, in any book also, you will find, जब भी कोई अच्छी किताब लेटर रीडिंग के पढ़ोगे तो वो gradually उठाता है. They always you will find a chapter that is called introduction. वो पहले subject को रखेगा, then it will take to the next level. Anyone else, please? So thank you, everyone. Thank you very much. Fine. Thank you. Thanks.